Well, I thought it might be a good time to say hello. My name is Uncle Artie. I'm just a regular old grandpa living in Southern California with ideas, and I want to share those with you. And in the previous podcast, I've told you a little bit about what I think is wrong and what I think we can do about it. But today, I would like to let you know that I am a Vietnam combat veteran. Uh, Technically, I'm disabled by PTSD. Um, I do have a lot of ideas about the industrial military complex. I have a lot of ideas about politicians and how they, in concert with the military industrial complex, have kept us in what seems to be unending wars all over the globe and innocent people dying as a result. Not only our people, which is tragic, but people in other countries who have children and grandmas and grandpas just like we do. It's a it is a monetary monopolizing, unending profit center. We need to understand that not all the bad guys are who they tell us they are. If you live in one of these countries whose cities, towns, schools, hospitals have been destroyed by bombs and rockets manufactured in the United States of America, you might think that we're the bad guys. And I want to say now that to the American people, to the people who are listening to my voice, we are not the bad guys. There probably won't be one person who hears this podcast who has ever monetarily profited from war. However, having said that, at some level, if we don't stand up and say no more, then we are all responsible. A lot of you are too young to remember the Vietnam War and remember the fact that we drafted into involuntary service in the armed forces of our country to go to fight that war. We lost over 55,000 uh, soldiers and personnel in the war. And that's what this shirt is about. It's called Johnny's Dead. And let's see if I can get you a little better picture of it. But that's not the sad part, although it is tragic. The sad part is that after the war had ended and soldiers came home, many of the citizens of our country thought that the soldiers were the bad guys. And there were incidences of soldiers coming through airports and being spat upon because they were forced to go to the war. There were certainly lots of incidences where people uh, blamed innocent soldiers for going to the war. And of course, we have lost well over 250,000 of those soldiers who actually came home alive to the stresses and the sadness and the terror of post traumatic stress disorder, suicide, of course, and alcohol and drug addiction. So it's a problem that we're all responsible for one way or another. It wasn't until the citizens of the United States said no more war that President Nixon then started bringing the troops out of Vietnam. It uh, it was a long process, and it was something that uh, was amazing when it was done. But there was so much pain and so much loss that people didn't forget it very quickly. So let's fast forward. Let's talk about Iran, Iraq, Afghanistan, basically the Middle East, every place where we once sold weapons to our friends who are now our enemies. And this is a story that's got many chapters, but the basic title of the book is We Don't Care. We will sell bullets and guns and rockets and helicopters and all of the weapons of war to anybody who will pay for them. And if it turns out that you are in our way, we will use our weapons against our weapons, and we will kill everybody that gets in our way. And this is a real tragedy uh, of what's happened in our country since Korea, the war in Korea. Anyway, if we start to understand that it's not just the homeless people, nope, it's not just the high taxes that you're paying that pay for all of these weapons and do all of that killing. It's not just the fact that we have kids coming out of college with a good degree and can't find a job. It's not just that all of the things that we thought were solid and steady are now on the shaky ground of deceit and lies propagated by those who make the profits in our country. It's not a secret. And if it is, I'm going to divulge it now. There is systemic racism in this country, but it's not just against black people or brown people or people with less education than you and I. It's against everybody who doesn't have a seven-figure income. It's against people who are poor. And if you're making $100,000 a year, you can't buy a home in California. These are these are not satisfactory outcomes for a hard-working life. So what we want to talk about and what we want to really get into is the fact that the politicians have engineered our society to their liking and to their profit. We need to re engineer our society for fairness, kindness, and opportunity for the American people. That's what NoMoreTalk.com is all about. You can go to NoMoreTalk.com. You can put in any comments that you would like. We will be reviewing it on a regular basis. If there's something that you'd like to hear about or talk about, please mention it on the website. I want to thank you again, as always, for stopping by No More Talk, giving this podcast a chance. I want to re register my belief, and that is simply this: I am a 75-year-old man. I am not delusional. I don't think that I myself can make a difference, but I do believe that you and I can make a difference. So let's join up, let's get together, let's start the process of perhaps getting a constitutional convention to change the amount of years that a person can stay in office and the amount of terms that they can serve in office. Remember, term limits mean time. Limited terms mean how much time that you get in that spot. So you can get 4 years, one time, and then you have to go back to work. You have to go back and live under the rules and the laws that you supported while you were in government. So you get your 4 year term, and if we can decide together to make it two 4 year terms for every elected individual, whether you're the president of the United States, the sheriff of Los Angeles County, the dog catcher, we don't care. What we care about is that people don't stay in place so long as to become arrogant to the fact that they're supposed to be serving the American people, not being served by the American people. Anyway, this is Uncle Artie. I'm signing off, and I will see you on the next go round. Thanks for listening.